Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Wing Commander Steve Weideman. This evening, we are honoured to acknowledge visiting academic Sir Anthony Selden and Lady Selden, the multinational naval delegation from the Sea Power Centre, Navy personnel from Director General Maritime Operations Section at Headquarters Joint Operations Command, and Mr John King, President of the Returned and Services League of Australia, ACT branch. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Gunner Francis Thomas Moody Sweeny. Francis Sweeny was born on the 29th of September 1884 in Canning, Western Australia. Known as Frank, he was one of 8 children born to local jail warden James Sweeny and his wife Bessie. Frank was educated in the local region before taking up an apprenticeship with the Western Australian Railways. He trained as a fitter and later a turner and volunteered in the Citizens Militia. He later moved to Newcastle, settling in the suburb of Carrington, where he married Eva Keddy in 1915. At the outbreak of the First World War, he was working as a fitter for the New South Wales Railways and Tramways. Frank Sweeny enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 15th of May 1916. He was assigned to the 2nd Heavy Trench Mortar Battery as a gunner and began a short period of training in Australia. On the 30th of September, he embarked for active service on board the troopship Aeneas. Gunner Sweeny arrived in England in mid-November and continued training with his unit. He remained in England until April 1917, when he embarked for the Western Front. Shortly after arriving in France, Sweeny was transferred to the 5th Australian Field Artillery Brigade. He joined his new unit in the Somme Valley near the French town of Bapaume. Sweeny took part in his first major battle during the Allies' second attempt to break through enemy lines at Bullecourt in May 1917. His unit worked to support infantry units attacking positions in the town. An attack on Bullecourt a month earlier had cost over 3,000 Australian lives. By the end of the second attack, a further 7,000 had been suffered. This was Gunner Sweeny's introduction to the Western Front. Later in the year, as the focus of AIF operations shifted to Belgium, Sweeny's unit supported attacking infantry along Ypres Salient. In September, he served during the Battle of Mean Road as the Allies attempted to take sections of the high ground along the ridge east of Ypres. In the face of heavy entrenched German defensive positions and pillboxes, the 1st and 2nd Divisions suffered over 5,000 casualties. During the battle, Gunner Frank Sweeny was wounded in action near Larchwood on the 24th of September. He'd been hit by an enemy shell during a counter-attack, resulting in serious wounds to his head. He was evacuated to the nearby 3rd Canadian Casualty Clearing Station for treatment. Because of the severity of his wounds, he was sent to England for treatment. He was admitted to Queen Mary's Hospital in Whaley, Lancashire on the 14th of October 1917. His wife was informed that, though badly wounded, he was progressing favourably. He later developed pneumonia and began to rapidly decline. On the 21st of October 1917, his wounds proved too severe and he died. A Red Cross chaplain later wrote to Sweeny's wife saying, "He was admitted here on the 14th of October, suffering a great deal of pain from a gunshot wound to the head. At first, there seemed to be hope of recovery, but after a few days, he took a turn for the worst. I administered the last sacraments on Saturday the 20th. His mind was clear then, and I think he realised he was not likely to recover. Afterwards, he became unconscious and passed away on Sunday morning at 3:30. We buried him on Wednesday in the military cemetery attached to the hospital and a part reserved for the Dominion soldiers. I think we may regard his death as a mercy. He passed away quite happily and contently. Had he lived, he would probably have been a chronic invalid and in constant pain." Frank Sweeny was 32 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed by the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Gunner Francis Thomas Moody Sweeny, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorials Development Project. And we wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.